am Kira Bailey. This is Behind the Gate, a podcast from Vellum Agency where we talk to pet professionals building thoughtful, people first businesses. Today's guest is Julie Duke, founder of Prancing Poodle Pet Care in Michigan. Julie, can you kick us off by introducing yourself and sharing more about your work?
Oh, yes. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here. I love talking about my business. Basically, I had a very long career in nonprofit, in the arts, actually, in arts management. And when I was a kid growing up, we never had pets in the house because my mother didn't want animals around. And so I spent into my 30s before I ever had the idea that I might like to have a dog.
Oh my
Um,
God,
the idea
that's
just
so
the
long.
idea just popped into my head one day. And I started at that point, I was working for an orchestra. And for people who don't know about the arts, in the arts, you basically work all day in an office and then you spend your night in the theater. So you have very little private time. But I did my research. I had a colleague that I was working with at the Charlotte Symphony who had a mother who was a breeder. And she told me that I needed to do research to find the kind of dog that would be perfect for my life, which
Mhm.
I did. And what I discovered was a poodle was going to be the perfect match for me. So I set out to find a dog. I found one. That's a long story in and of itself, but in any case, he chose me. And I discovered through him, his name was Marty. He a poodle. He was born on a Tuesday. That's how I ended up with his name. Marty is French for Tuesday. And he showed me what it was like to have an animal just become such an important part of your life, to experience the sort of love and devotion and loyalty that animals give to you. And that was the start of everything for me. I had no idea that I was a dog person. And I discovered through Marty that not only was I a dog person, but I was pretty much a crazy dog person. And so as the years progressed, I stuck around in the same environment, working in the arts into the 1990s. And in the 2000s, I moved out of the arts back to Michigan to take care of my mother at the end of her life. Marty came with me, and we were in that environment for about a year and a half. And then after my mother passed away, Marty and I moved to Lansing, which is where I am now. And I went to work at Michigan State University and was there for 11 years. One of the challenges I had during those 11 years, even though my hours were more regular than they had been in the arts, was that I had to travel a lot. And people who travel a lot know what a problem it can be if you're looking for good care for your pets. So I got the idea then that when I retired, I was going to start a business that would cater to people who felt like their animals were a part of their family, who really wanted to find people they could trust to be in their home, to take care of their animals. And that's what I did. I started Prancing Poodle Pet Care about 10 years ago now. And it's been a very slow growth. I'm in a part of the country where people don't tend to think about spending a lot of money on pet care. It's a very sort of middle class economic environment. I'm in a college town that has a veterinary college. So there are about 500 kids who are signed up to walk dogs and do pet sitting on Rover in my market, which is a big challenge. But having this business has just been a delight for me. It's given me a chance to really learn a lot about caring for animals, the human animal bond. I am such a huge believer in the way animals enrich our lives. So that's where I am, brings me to today. I have a team of 9 people now, and we serve actively about 140 families. And over the course of the 10 years, it's been well over 1,000. It's been a great business. My I have a great team and we provide a great service.
So you built your business out of a personal need. You wanted a place for Marty. You wanted a place for Marty or for Marty to be able to stay at home while you traveled. So it was a need in the community that you saw. That's why you started your business.
I feel really strongly that not every dog, and certainly not cats, do well in a boarding environment. A lot of animals really do better in their own homes where their schedule is kept the same, their regimen is always the same, and they don't have to deal with the chaos and the 24 hours of barking that's around them for days at a time. Not to mention the fact that depending on the facility, there's a lot of variance in the quality of the facilities that are available. And those things are not always apparent to parents, pet parents, when they go and check things out.
Yeah.
But you do know about your home and you do know about what keeps your dog happy or your cat happy. And we are very much a concierge kind of business where we don't try to make our human clients or our animal clients fit into our way of doing things. We structure the way we do things in the way that best suits our clients. So I have to have people who are very flexible and very open to sometimes doing things a little bit differently than they would do with their own pets. But ultimately, our primary concern is always keeping our animal client happy and healthy first and foremost. I always tell our human clients that the animals come first. They come in a close second, but they are still coming in second as far as our business is concerned.
It's interesting that you bring that up because that was my next question. I wondered, what does concierge level service look like when you're caring for the pet parents and the pets?
First of all, I think the way I define it is that we ask the clients, we want the clients to tell us what they need. What do they need? What do their animals need? So we build our visits around those kinds of things. Are they walked? Are they let out in the backyard? If we let out a dog in the backyard, for instance, for me, a concierge service means that when that dog is outside, we are outside with it. We would never let a dog outside in the backyard, even if it's totally fenced and perfectly safe. We would never let them out by themselves. We're always there to make sure that everything is safe and goes the way it's supposed to go. The other thing is that we go the extra mile. We clean litter boxes at every visit. We wash water bowls and food bowls out at every visit. We brush the dogs. We brush the cats. We play with them. We do the things that they want. We remember their birthdays and celebrate their birthdays. We communicate with the owners to the extent that they want to be communicated with. We really try to make sure that we focus on providing the kinds of communication they want to have. We're very transparent in our communication. We just try to I wouldn't say that we push things to the level that a lot of people now in marketing talk about in terms of Disneyfying their business, trying to follow the Disney model of doing more and more. That's sometimes economically a challenge and it's a time challenge. But remembering pets' birthdays, sending holiday cards, pleasant little surprises when our clients come back from a trip, let's say to Europe. And I know that most of the planes landing here after making connections from Europe or overseas anywhere come in at night. When we're staying with pets, we always leave a meal in their refrigerator so that when they get home late at night, they don't have to fix food or they don't have to call somebody to bring something in. They have a salad and a quiche or a sandwich or something that's there in their refrigerator ready for them to have.
Wow. So you're taking care of the pet owners as much as you are of the pets.
It's just part of it is that they're paying for the service that they're getting. And we want them to know that we appreciate that and we value that.
That's wonderful. So your team is licensed, bonded, and trained deeply in pet care and communication. How do you ensure consistency across your team members? You have nine, right? That's what you said.
Right.
How do you ensure that they're all on the same page with what they're doing?
They all go through a certain amount of training, as you mentioned. And then we have standard operating procedures and we have an employee handbook. We have a list of services that they provide every time they visit a house. Things like cleaning up after ourselves, as I mentioned, washing dishes, those sorts of things. But I think probably the most significant thing that has an impact on my staff is that I hire very mature people who have a history of reliability, who have a history with animals. It's fascinating to me that some pet businesses hire people who don't know anything about animals, but they say they have the right attitudes. To some degree, I understand that, but I don't think you can train a person to love an animal if they haven't experienced owning an animal. And so I always look for, excuse me, I always look for people who have owned animals, who are looking to do this kind of job. No one gets rich doing this work. They do the work because they want to spend time with animals. That's what I look for. And interestingly, when I survey my clients and always ask them, what are the important things that we do that you like? What are the things that you'd like to see changed? What could we add to our services? The things that always come back as number one and number two in those surveys to us is number one, they know that their sitters love their animals. Number two is that we're always reliable. We never miss a service. We never miss a communication. If somebody is delayed, we let the clients know that. We say that we provide peace of mind. All pet sitting businesses say that. We really live it. Once people are gone and we're in charge of things, we make sure they know all the time what's going on. And if they are peppering us with questions and want to know even more than what we're communicating, we're happy to do that. But I think going back to the original premise of your question, it's really hiring people who have a commitment to doing the right job. And it's not easy to find people like that these days. I know a lot of my colleagues are having just a terrible time hiring people. I won't say that I haven't made some mistakes at times, but by and large, I've been very lucky with my team. They generally stay with me for a year or more, which is very unusual in this business. And the longer they stay, the more clients they build a relationship with, the better the service becomes. I think that's really the quality of the people working for me is what has really made my business a success.
Mm-hmm. Do you interview the pet parents as well? Do you ever find that there's a pet parent or a pet that's just not going to be suitable for your service?
Oh, absolutely. Before we accept someone as a client, we always do a consultation. A consultation is free to the client. I always do it because I put myself in their shoes, but I want people coming into my home and taking care of my animals I've never met. Would I want to leave my animals in my home in the hands of people who haven't answered all the questions that I have? So I do the consultations, and it's an opportunity both for me to look at the environment, meet the animal, make sure that my team is going to be safe with that animal, but also for the clients to meet me as the owner of the business, allow me to answer whatever questions they have, get a sense of whether they're comfortable with me, because it goes both ways. I want them to be happy that they're hiring my company, and I need to be assured that we can provide them with the service that they expect and the help that they need. It's very rare that it doesn't work out, but sometimes it's clear for whatever reason the chemistry is not good. And I'm a big believer in chemistry. And I think that everything is better when people feel good about one another. I want my team to be happy doing their jobs. I want my clients to be happy hiring us. And again, that feeds into the whole concept of a successful business model.
There has to be trust on both levels. You have to trust the pet parents and the environment, and they have to trust you. Yeah, a lot of trust.
Exactly.
So, as you've grown, what has been the hardest part? Is it managing the schedules, maintaining quality, training staff, trying to figure out who's going to go where, when, and how to get it all done? What has been the biggest challenge for you?
Honestly, I think the biggest challenge for me has been coming to understand that every market, when it comes to this kind of a personal service business, every market is different. And when I was starting out in the business, I was looking for business coaches, and I've worked with several, and they all have their area of expertise.
Mm.
But the reality is that what works in St. Louis or Scottsdale or Manhattan is not going to work in Lansing, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent a lot of money and hundreds, if not thousands of hours trying to craft processes and projects that duplicated what the business coaches were asking me to do. And I had no ROI.
An example. Give me a for example. What was something that you tried that just you said, I can't do this?
Okay. One of the things that I remember, because the signs are still in my garage, I haven't tossed them out yet. One of the coaches said that what would work really well was to have signs printed up. This was in the days before Twitter. It was when Instagram and Facebook were really rolling. And I have signs printed up that and put around the neighborhood that invited people who were out walking their dogs to take a picture, take a selfie of them with their dogs, text it to my Instagram account, and they would be entered into a contest to get a basket. So I had these really cute signs printed up at Vistaprint. I drove around for 2 days and put them around different places, asked my clients to put them in their yards. I never got a single photograph, not one.
Why do you think that is? People just, they just were not into that at that time.
I think it's a combination of they're walking their dogs, and most people, when we don't do this when we walk dogs, we don't listen to our phones, we don't listen to music or anything, but a lot of people when they walk their dogs are on their phones, right? And I just think that they're not paying attention when they're walking their dogs. The people around here are a little bit skeptical about being in contact and over social media with something that they don't know and don't understand. There are probably dozens of reasons, but that was, I think, the first time I really sunk some money into doing a project that just returned nothing. And I will say the same thing is true here with Facebook. I went through a terrible thing with Facebook in that my page was taken down for reasons I never understood, and I lost 500 followers. But Facebook, even when I don't post regularly anymore, but even when I was posting regularly, working with a coach, putting in tried and true Facebook posts, I still never got clients from it. Mm-hmm. People follow. Very rarely would people comment, but it was basically a lot of effort for no return.
I would be willing to bet that the majority of your business comes from word of mouth.
Exactly. You're exactly right.
Yeah. And the smaller communities, that tends to be the way it works. They aren't as embedded with Facebook and social media and all of that. They're not as influenced by those reviews and things, but word of mouth, they will go to the ends of the earth to scream wonderful things about you if they have had an incredible experience.
Yeah, I have found word of mouth to be the best. And then the other thing that I have found is that people searching go to our Google business listing and they read the reviews that are there. And often I hear two things. Of course, I always ask people when we do the consultation, how did they hear about us? But the people who don't have a personal friend who has referred them to us tell me that they looked at the reviews on Google Business and then they went to the website and they found that our website was very comprehensive. It answered the questions that they had and it appeared to be professional and they felt comfortable reaching out to us.
You do have a beautiful website and it's very aesthetically pleasing and it does look professional. So, yes, I can see how they would have a good feeling after coming away from it. What systems do you have put in place that help keep things running smoothly so that you aren't having to micromanage all the time, but you still have to be personal about it? So it can't just be all automated, it has to be personal too.
Let me say that it's a work in progress. As you were mentioning with AI, the technology is changing very quickly. And for someone who's as ancient as I am, it's really a challenge to stay focused and up on the technology. And I will readily admit, and my team will readily tell you, that it's not without its challenges. But I have had for a long time a Time to Pet as the software that I use to run my business. I've had it almost from the beginning. I think the first couple of years I started the business, I was working off of a paper calendar, and it became very apparent, even as a one-person business, that it was just too easy to miss appointments. And among all of the things that Time to Pet does, it makes it almost impossible for you to miss an appointment. And then for a long time, the CRM that I used was Active Campaign, but I found I didn't use that very much because it was too complicated for me, honestly.
And they also got really expensive. We use
Well,
campaign as
know
well.
how expensive it is now because I dropped it. And I now use a CRM called the Pet Biz CRM. It was put together by Janie Budnick, who has a huge pet sitting business in St. Louis. She does a lot of coaching and she put this CRM together. It's constantly evolving. And the thing that makes it very nice is that it's very focused on pet sitting businesses. So a lot of sort of the things that are part of the CRM are things that you'd have to build, automations and other kinds of things that you'd have to build for yourself if you were using another CRM. That's what I'm using right now. And then I do have a friend in the business who is also very technology oriented. He has a consulting business for technology, and he helps me with a lot of, even with the Pet Biz CRM, building the automations and things, because not only am I not an expert at it, but I have very little patience with, and building those things, you really have to be willing to go step by step, test it.
Attention to detail, yes. It can be so tedious.
It's easier to ask Steve to take care of it for me, and he's very reasonably priced, and that's the way I do it. There are some things when it comes to running the business that I can manage myself, but there are other things where it really is worth spending a few dollars to hire the experts to do it for you.
Yes, and that is one of those lessons that I think it's hard for new business owners to learn. But once you do learn how to delegate to people that are better than you, it makes things a lot easier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. One of the things I learned in my business career was always hire people who are better than you, smarter than you, and you'll be a success.
What is going really well in your business right now?
I would say the best thing that we do is the service we provide. I can be 100% confident when I talk to someone, a prospective client or someone I happen to be interviewing, that we offer the best service in the city. We are expensive relative to hiring people off of Rover. I guess WAG isn't in business anymore, but there are lots of single sitters out doing pet sitting who will walk a dog for $10. And I can't do that. The economics of maintaining a business that carries liability insurance, has part-time employees, pays taxes, has business systems, the economics are such that we can't do dog walks for $10. So our clients have to make a decision. Are we worth the money? And what's working really well for us is that everybody agrees we're worth the money. And that, I don't think I'd be able to, I know I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I thought we were shortchanging our clients. Our clients are paying a good price. They deserve to get everything that we promise. As the saying goes in business, you over-deliver and you under-promise. I'm confident that we're able to do that. And I think that confidence also shows in my team. They take pride in the work that they do. They enjoy communicating the quality of what they do to the clients. The clients pay the fees and then they also tip. It's just it just makes you feel good that you're doing something. Right. I started this business because I wanted to make sure that companion animals were being taken well care of, and that people who were like me when I was working, who loved their pets, but who needed to be away from home sometimes, really had options that were good, where they could really enjoy their time away, not be worried about their animals all the time. And the knowledge that I'm doing that really makes me happy.
On the flip side of that, what has been the most frustrating or limiting so far in your ability to grow your business?
I think probably what's the most limiting for me is honestly staying up with technology. There are just a lot of mundane sorts of things that we do every day that I know could be taken over automatically through the right setup of systems. I think following the market and the way the markets are changing and the market that is specifically here. I know, for instance, because of my generation and where I am in my life, my perspective on things is very different from the people who are coming up now as young professionals who are having pets in record numbers. And they are looking for an experience and a relationship, and even in the way they look for support, very differently than what I did. And I think very differently even for people who are 10 years older. And that changing philosophy, the changing marketing, the best ways to contact people, staying on top of all of that is a full-time job in and of itself. Right. When you're in a service business, you have to stay on top of it. Changing your messaging to really speak to that new person out there who's on a really good career trajectory, who's going to be making very good money, who loves to travel, but who also absolutely adores their cat or their dog or their guinea pigs. Staying on top of all of that is really important. And I think that if there's anything that limits the growth of my business, it's that. It's really having a sophisticated marketing program that constantly renews itself.
Looking at your day-to-day operations, what is it that just saps your time and energy that you wish you could offload? And there is nothing off limits. So you can just think completely, what would make my life so easy?
One thing would be social media. If I could just have social media happen in a way that represents what my sort of foundational pillars of my business
Yeah,
is
feels
about.
authentic.
Yes, perfect. Yes, authentic. We're not about funny cat videos. That's just not what we do. What I'm interested in doing is providing information to my clients and information to people who love animals about nutrition, about wellness, about good communication with their veterinarians, about making sure that they understand that letting their dogs roll around on people's lawns that have been treated with pesticides is not a good idea. Just all of those things that if you're an animal person and that's all you focus on, but again, people who love their animals but who are busy doing other things may not know. When I do social media, if I were looking for somebody or something, some system to do it for me, it would need to be within those parameters of what's important to me, what's the information. And again, I think as I'm learning about AI, that's one of the things that I find so fascinating is that you really can train it to represent who you are and what your business is. And but again, that takes a certain amount of skill to understand how to do the prompting and all of that.
This has been
There's one
Go
other
ahead.
thing I can add to the day-to-day stuff, and that is answering all of those questions that come in from people who don't go to the website first. My website does have a little bot on it, but I haven't trained the bot yet to do a lot of question answering. And that's certainly on my list of things to do.
Yeah, yeah. This has been wonderful. Thank you, Julie. I really appreciate you meeting with me. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, they have questions about your business, where can they reach you?
They can message me at julie@prancingpoodlepetcare.com, or they can go to my website and just leave a message there. It's prancingpoodlepetcare.com. And I love to talk to people who have questions, especially if they're in a market like mine. I don't know much about running a pet care business in New York or California, but the Midwest, the Rust Belt, I do have some real serious ideas about how to make it work in an area like this, an area of the country like this.
I'm sure you would be a wealth of information for people who are just getting started because you've already done it all. And you did it all from a very new perspective. It wasn't like you grew up in a pet business. You came in, you said, "This is what I'm going to do," and you probably made every mistake you could make along the way. And you've learned.
The good news is I haven't lost any animals along the way. That's the thing I
That
haven't
is
done.
the very good news. Yes. Thank you so much for today.
Let's-
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed meeting you. I loved listening about your business and
Thank you.